اليوم فاتح على حسابه حزب الله.
Good afternoon, you're watching the English newscast on Future Television. I'm Linda Tamim, and these are today's top stories. Member states of the Gulf Cooperation Council classify Lebanese movement Hezbollah as a terrorist organization, citing hostile actions by the armed group. Lebanon fails for a 36th time to elect a new head of state due to a lack of quorum, despite witnessing one of the highest lawmaker turnouts. And Jordan's security services say they have thwarted a plot by ISIS militants to blow up civilian and military targets in one of the U.S. allies' largest sweeps in years. Member states of the Gulf Cooperation Council have classified Lebanese movement Hezbollah as a terrorist organization, citing hostile actions by the armed group. GCC Secretary General Abdul Latif al-Zayani said the 6 Gulf monarchies undertook the move because Hezbollah recruited young people of the Gulf for terrorist acts. He also accused Hezbollah of backing groups to smuggle weapons and explosives and inciting sedition and disorder in flagrant violation of the sovereignty and security of GCC countries. The move comes a day after Hezbollah chief Sayyid Hassan Nasrallah ripped into Saudi Arabia over its recent moves targeting Lebanon and accused the oil-rich kingdom for the first time of direct responsibility over car bomb attacks in the country. Last week, 5 out of 6 GCC countries issued travel warnings against Lebanon and urged their citizens to leave the country, citing safety concerns. Lebanon has failed for the 36th time to elect a new head of state due to a lack of quorum, despite witnessing one of the highest lawmaker turnouts since March 8 launched its boycott of the vote nearly 2 years ago. Future movement leader Saad Hariri, independent March 14 MP Naila Twaini, and March 8 Speaker Nabih Berri were among those who made a rare appearance for the parliament vote. However, they still failed to meet the 2/3 quorum required to activate the session, as most March 8 parties led by Hezbollah and the Free Patriotic Movement held on to their boycott. Of the 128 lawmakers, 73 participated, 13 short of the 86 needed to vote. Berri said a 37th election session from March 23rd. Marada movement leader Sleiman Frangieh boycotted the vote in line with his allies despite having the Future Bloc's backing, which has more parliamentary seats than any other grouping. Frangieh had said he would not attend the session so as not to further complicate his relationship with his March 8 allies, which began to deteriorate after he challenged FPM founder Michel Aoun for the presidency. Hariri had called on Frangieh to participate in the vote, saying his party was attending the session for Frangieh's sake. In a news conference following the vote, Hariri said he understands Frangieh's explanation of why he would not attend, but called on all MPs to participate in the next session. The former prime minister said he was sticking with Frangieh's candidacy more than ever, adding that electing a president was better than having a presidential vacuum. The Council of Maronite Bishops has expressed concern over the rising tension among Lebanon's political foes, accusing them of holding the state's decision-making captive. Following their monthly meeting chaired by Maronite Patriarch Shara Ra'i, the bishops said the state's policies have become captive of the current political stalemate, as the government has become incapable of resolving the simplest crisis. The bishops expressed concern over the growing danger of more vacuum in state institutions as a result of the absence of a head of state. They called for keeping the army away from the divisions and political tension. They also said that all those wanting to have security and stability in Lebanon have a duty to back the institutions. Lebanese Forces leader Samir Geagea says Lebanon is still living in times similar to the period 8 years ago known as May 7, during which gun battles broke out between elements of the March 8 and March 14 coalitions. In an interview published on the Lebanese Forces website, Geagea cited the recent bailout of pro-Syrian ex-minister Michel Smeha and the recent diplomatic confrontation with Saudi Arabia as proof of Lebanon living in times similar to the May 7 conflict. Hezbollah launched a brief takeover of West Beirut on May 7, 2008, at the peak of fierce power struggle between the March 8 and March 14 coalitions. Geagea warned of a second May 7 conflict erupting in Lebanon and said the only way Lebanon can put itself outside the line of fire is for Hezbollah to leave the battlefield, referring to the party's involvement in the Syrian war. The United Nations Population Fund marked the safe delivery of more than 5,000 Syrian babies at the Zaatari refugee camp in Jordan. The infants were born in UNFPA-supported clinics inside the camp, which first opened in 2013. Jordan currently hosts more than 1.4 million refugees, with most of them living in urban areas and around 100,000 Syrians in the camps. Around 85,000 have found sanctuary at Zaatari, some 15 kilometers from Jordan's border with Syria, and now one of the world's largest refugee camps. Tuesday's event recognized the 5,000th baby, a little girl named Rima, who was born on February 21st. There have been 50 more births ever since. Republican Donald Trump and Democrat Hillary Clinton move closer to winning their party's nominations. More details coming up. Welcome back. Jordan's security services say they have thwarted a plot by ISIS militants to blow up civilian and military targets in one of the U.S. allies' largest sweeps in years against hardline sleeper cells. The security services reportedly located the militants who were carrying suicide belts in a hideout in the northern city of Irbid, near the Syrian border. 7 militants were killed in clashes that began late last night and lasted till dawn. 1 police officer was also killed. The security services seized automatic weapons, munitions, and explosives from the group. Republican Donald Trump and Democrat Hillary Clinton have moved closer to winning their party's nominations with a series of victories in the Super Tuesday elections. Clinton and Trump each won at least 7 of 11 state races as they distanced themselves from party rivals and looked ahead to the November 8 presidential election. Clinton's only opponent, Bernie Sanders, also won Oklahoma, as well as his home state of Vermont, Colorado, and Minnesota. Conservative Senator Ted Cruz won his home state of Texas, Alaska, and Oklahoma, as he sought to emerge as Trump's main rival. Still, Trump's wins in the South were a blow to Cruz, who once saw the region as his opportunity to stake a claim to the nomination. Marco Rubio, who is also seeking to emerge as the main alternative to Trump, only managed to score a campaign win in Minnesota.
It's been an amazing evening. Already we've won 5 major states, and it looks like we could win 6 or 7 or 8 or 9. It's really been great. I want to congratulate Ted on the winning of Texas. He worked hard on it, and I know how hard he worked, actually. And so I congratulate Ted Cruz on that win. That was an excellent win. And, you know, I watched Hillary's speech, and she's talking about wages have been poor, and everything's doing badly, but we're going to make it. She's been there for so long. I mean, if she hasn't straightened it out by now, she's not going to straighten it out in the next 4 years. It's just going to become worse and worse. She wants to make America whole again, and I'm trying to figure out what is that all about. Make America great again is going to be much better than making America whole again.
Thank you all so much. What a Super Tuesday. You know, all across our country today, Democrats voted to break down barriers so we can all rise together. And I am so delighted to be here with you in Florida. I congratulate Senator Sanders on his strong showing and campaigning, and I'm grateful to all of you who voted for me, to the volunteers and organizers. I know you've worked your hearts out. This country belongs to all of us, not just those at the top.
The United States has released what appears to be a handwritten will of the late al-Qaeda leader Osama bin Laden. In it, bin Laden asked that the majority of his $29 million fortune be spent on continuing al-Qaeda's operations. The letter was part of a cache of 113 documents taken in the 2011 U.S. Special Forces in Pakistan, during which bin Laden was killed. The documents were translated from Arabic and declassified by U.S. intelligence agencies. Forbes magazine announced its annual list of the world's richest persons, which was topped by Microsoft founder Bill Gates for the 17th time. Gates has held the #1 spot 17 of the last 22 years, according to the magazine, although his wealth has shrunk to $75 billion, down from $79.2 billion last year. Spanish retail giant Amancio Ortega came in second with a net worth of $67 billion. Ortega is best known for his fashion chain, Zara. The Oracle of Omaha, Warren Buffett, remained in the third spot, despite the fact that his net worth dropped by 11.9 to $60.8 billion. The richest woman in the world is French cosmetics giant L'Oréal heiress Liliane Bettencourt, with an estimated net worth of $36.1 billion. Moving back to Lebanon, a startup based in Beirut introduces the concept of a digital personal assistant for everyone in the country, offering free services from making reservations and home maintenance to online shopping. The company, Eve Concierge, was founded by 5 men in their 30s. One of the co-founders, Sirin Ala Hassan, explained the inspiration behind the idea that he's been working on alongside Ahmad and Ali Khawand, Wasim Hafar, and Danny Dormush.
We got the idea from when we want to order food, we have to call a certain number. When we want to travel, we have to find a specific travel agent. Whatever we want from anywhere, we have to find the number of the place and get in contact with them by ourselves. We thought that if everyone had their personal assistant for free, from who they can ask anything on the same place, this would be better and more comfortable for everyone. This is when we thought that everyone uses WhatsApp, on which one can just send a simple message and we will respond to his or her demand. As a startup, we need to build trust with people and gain as much users as we can. We want the biggest number of people to use our services. This is our first goal for the first 2 years. We care about giving a trustable and good service for everyone and to provide you with the best experience. We surely need it. If one is moving to a new neighborhood and another one from the countryside is moving to the city for university, or one is visiting Lebanon from abroad, they wouldn't know what to get and from where. So this would be very helpful. There's always someone who can maybe know better than us, and maybe some people don't have a real concierge in their building, so a concierge over the phone would really help.
This marks the end of our bulletin for today. Now for a reminder of the headlines. Member states of the GCC classify Lebanese movement Hezbollah as a terrorist organization, citing hostile actions by the armed group. Lebanon fails for a 36th time to elect a new head of state due to a lack of quorum, despite witnessing one of the highest lawmaker turnouts. And Jordan's security services say they have thwarted a plot by ISIS militants to blow up civilian and military targets. Those are your top stories for today. I'm Linda Tamim, signing off.
اليوم فتح على حسابه الله.